Good morning. Am I on?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Good morning. Wow. That's just one. Good morning. I thought I was going to have to do that again. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. My name is Tony Fisher. Grateful to serve this congregation, to serve you. What a beautiful day it is today. Let's just do this outside. My gratitude today goes out to the hospitality crew who were here yesterday creating a beautiful spread for the memorial service for Ed Southard, and they're back again this morning putting out a great spread for us of and they're not even paying attention. Let them know you appreciate them a little bit later.
I'll give them another chance.
I have a number of announcements today. The first and foremost, because our former president asked it to be right up front, is that we are looking desperately for hosts for our silent auction that's coming up in December. Our silent auction is an opportunity for anyone to offer some sort of a dinner or a service or something, a boat ride that you can offer, and people will bid on it, and money flows into the church, and you get to enjoy time with other people. So it's a great thing for everybody. So if you would be interested in hosting or doing something that you've done before, a mystery dinner, an ethnic dinner, anything, you would be welcome. So Elaine is not sitting in the sanctuary at the moment. But she's the one with the red hair, so take a look for Elaine or Martin. No, yeah, raise your hand, Martin. You can talk to Martin as well, or John Pipkin, who's out in the lobby. All right, so that's important, and that's out of the way. There's so many things happening. We have opportunities for spiritual growth. After the service today at 11:35, there's living room conversations hosted by Janet Hoffman. Those are start in the large group with an introduction, and then we break into small groups to talk about specific topics. Today, the topic is unity, and so I hope you would look forward to that. It's right after coffee hour at 11:35 in Thomas Hall. In addition, in terms of deepening spiritually, on Wednesday evening, I'll be hosting my minister's workshop, and we're talking about articulating our beliefs and living our values, and through that, hopefully deepening into the things that you find at your core. You can deepen sort of musically and spiritually this afternoon because there's a concert at 4 o'clock with Frank Corso, one of the great guitarists I think, in the United States. He's very well known. Incredible guitarist and songwriter and storyteller. So Frank will be here at 4 o'clock. It's part of our Pavilion concert series. Tickets are still available. There's plenty of room, so I hope you would come for that. There are competing things today because when we think about our social justice initiatives, there's a bus today, again, to the vigil at the detention center in the Everglades. It's a free bus this time, and it leaves here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, gets back about 6:30, 6:45, to participate in the vigils that have been ongoing since August 3rd on Sundays. I'll be going, and I hope that those of you who aren't already committed to the concert or don't, I don't know how to do this. Yeah.
One was planned before the other existed, so we can't
Right.
do anything about it.
No. You have to make a choice. I'm sorry. And also in terms of deepening spiritually, we have an Interfaith Thanksgiving coming up on a week from tomorrow, Monday, November 24th, at Christus Victor Lutheran Congregation on Route 41 in Naples. Truly a wonderful event that happens every year. People from all different traditions come together and celebrate our gratitude for what we've been given. And so a lot of different clergy from different congregations will be speaking. So I will be there. I hope to see you there. And finally, make sure I got everything here. Please be aware of scam emails. There's been a number going around. If somebody's looking to have some help for somebody or themselves or somebody else, just please be careful, because there's been a number over the last couple of days from a couple of people in the congregation, and you just have to be really careful and not respond to something like that. It's hard. If you feel like you need to, please call that person directly outside of whatever information is in the email and double check to make sure it's from them. So finally, I have great gratitude for Steve Espinosa, who was also here sharing his beautiful vocal cords with us yesterday, and is back today to do the same. You're gonna sing the welcome?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. But thank you, Tony, anyway, and welcome to everyone here in the sanctuary, out on our pavilion, and everyone watching on Facebook Live this morning. Whether you are here for the first time or have been part of this congregation for many years, we are very glad that you're here this morning. Is there anyone here for the first or second time? Hey, great. Welcome. We are grateful to have you, and please join us after service out on the pavilion for coffee and conversation. We'd like to get to know you a little better. Okay? And I'd like to extend a warm appreciation, as Tony did, to our hospitality team that provides a welcoming table for us every Sunday, and they are just the best. They're very faithful. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we embrace diversity in all its forms. We welcome people of every background, belief, identity, and life experience, recognizing that our strength comes from our openness to one another. Here, there is no single path to truth, only the light we bring to one another as we explore the mysteries of life together. In this space, we honor and celebrate our differences as we work to build a more just, inclusive, and loving world. Whether you are here in search of meaning, connection, or simply a moment of peace, know that you are welcome just as you are. And let's take a deep breath and center ourselves for this hour together with a morning's prelude. And I'd like to also say that our prelude, Fanfare for the Common Man by Aaron Copland, is in honor of the anniversary of Copland's birth 125 years ago today.
Here in this place of peace, may we find hope. Here in this place of connection, may we find life-giving community. Here in this place of rest, let the unrest in our hearts turn us towards transformation. Here in this space made sacred by memories and love, let each of us feel ourselves part of the new that grows from the old in the spiraling unity of years. Please join me in the chalice lighting response. In the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment, we gather this day. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the unity we seek. And let's rise and join in body and spirit, rise in body or spirit, and join in singing our opening hymn, Gather the Spirit. It's number 347 in the gray hymnal. Words will be on the screen.
Gather the Spirit, harvest the power, our separate fires will kindle one flame, witness the mystery of this hour, light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and love, thrown by the moon and fed by the sun, winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of the life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind, seeds for the sowing are laid in store, nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
Be seated. You sounded great. So I'm going to give you a little peek behind the curtain. You know, in The Wizard of Oz, the wizard was hiding behind that red curtain, and let you into a glimpse of the conversations that Abby, Sean, and I have on Tuesdays. And normally, you know, we get together every week to talk about upcoming worship service, primarily the one that is right ahead of us, but also about what's happening. And we talk about that, sort of the details. What's the theme? What's the topic? Can you share, Tony, some readings or the meditation so that they know how to respond? So it's very much a woven together service. I mean, and that's very important. And because we are professionals at this, you would think that those conversations, you know, are serious. But you don't know these two. And, you know, we talk about, all right, so what could we use for a song in response to the reflection or the reading? And the ideas that just bubble up are just incredible. I mean, some things that it would be great to do, wouldn't it? But you couldn't in a sanctuary. So, but all that's saying is that we do this with the deep understanding that we don't often talk about that much, although we do occasionally, of the shape of the worship service, which is something that, you know, I suppose we learn as musical professionals and more in terms of experience in congregations. But as a minister, we learn about this in seminary. There are books about this, right? Worship That Works is one that I like particularly by Wayne Arneson and Catherine Berlenz, a husband and wife who have served together and separately. And they've written a book about it, and they've talked about what they did is about 20 years ago, they actually went on sabbatical together, and they went off across the country and visited all sorts of congregations, not just Unitarian Universalists, but congregations of all types, praise services, very conservative services, Unitarian Universalist services, which vary across the board everywhere. And they wrote a book about it. And in that book, there's conversations about the value of different elements of worship and how to build a service and the importance of each of the elements. And so, you know, if you look at your order of service, you see that there is a progression of things, and we've sort of created our own here. It was built off of what was here before I came, but things have changed. We have this beginning piece, which introduces a little bit of the service, and we have either readings or reflections. We have a wonderful worship associate team. It's designed to have a flow, a shape to it. So an in-gathering to bring people slowly into the service, and the opening song really brings us together, opening words and opening song. And then the idea is that it slowly builds throughout, introducing different elements and allowing contributions from you, the members of this wonderful congregation, and then comes to a sort of the spoken word, I guess, which is not always the be-all and end-all, but that's the peak of the service, and then we have the offering and the closing words, and we sort of settle into our closing hymn, which should send you out dancing most Sundays. So as we try to maintain this shape, some of the things that come up are, and we struggle with, are announcements, for instance. And spoken announcements are part of a Unitarian Universalist service, and part of probably over 90% of UU services include announcements. It's sort of a symbolic thing. I mean, obviously we try to keep it to those things that are happening immediately in the next week that involve the whole congregation, and so we don't have committee meetings listed and all that. But in season, as we're moving quickly into, you begin to see how many announcements there are. And ministers especially are very jealous of this hour. And so we struggle to figure out what to do. But in reality, taking a deep breath and a step backwards, these events are symbolic of the life of a congregation. And they're important to connect us with one another, to let everybody know what's going on to a degree, and urging you, of course, to continue to look into our email blasts and find out more. So announcements are something we're not going to get rid of. And then you think about joys and sorrows. And I think that too is a subject that ministers talk about. In smaller congregations, our shared joys and sorrows are something that's part of the ritual as well. In a larger congregation, that's often substituted by a read announcements from we have a book of life outside, and people put in what they want to share, and somebody up here shares those things from the lectern. Or we light candles, which we do here occasionally. Or there's a regular pastoral sheet that goes out on a Sunday. We hold these here because, again, it's a very symbolic piece of this congregation, sort of part of our DNA. Starting as a small congregation, as a lay-led congregation, the communication that happens in between people during joys and sorrows is really important. And what we try to do is make sure that it's sort of held in a space where it is really about personal joys and sorrows and not about announcements. Announcements go at the beginning, and if you have one and you need it to be out there, first you contact the office. But joys and sorrows are also an important part of who we are as the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Greater Naples. And so the shape of these services, can vary. We can throw a wrench into the works, as we did, I think, in the spring when we had our little workshop in the sanctuary here on our covenant, and all of us participated in that, which I think was great. We don't do that very often because I think people come and find some comfort in the regularity of our service structure. The one thing that I really would like to speak to is applause. A worship service, I think, this is just me, is something that we hold together, a space that we hold together in a certain, I don't know what the right word is even, decorum maybe. And we have moved to the point where we applaud at just about everything. We're applauding after every musical piece, and certainly these two deserve that. But they too are aware of that it takes a little bit away from that shape of the worship. So my suggestion to you is maybe to hold your applause until after the offertory. If you feel so moved at that point, the last piece, but also I might share that after a particular joy or sorrow, if you feel moved to show your appreciation or whatever, this is something that happens in many Unitarian Universalist congregations. People just raise their hands. People who are coming from congregations who do that, or something like this, anything except that sort of applause, which personally feel that it's a jarring moment in a service. I think people, I know we had a conversation about this during a Worship Associates, and the opinions ran the spectrum. So we didn't come up with a conclusion necessarily, but it would be my suggestion that we try to back off a little bit and use some other form of gratitude as we do that. And if you're just bursting at the end of the offertory, which is usually one of those lifting pieces, go for it, okay? Yeah. What's that?
Double the contribution rather than flat.
Now, there's a man who loves this congregation so much, and his mind is always working. Double your contribution instead of clapping. Why not? Thank you for listening. Our centering hymn today is "The Peace Not Past Our Understanding," as we talk about the life of a congregation and those things that we don't always talk about. Here's a song and a poem by John Holmes that speaks to the little things.
The peace not past our understanding falls like light upon the soft white tablecloth at winter supper warm between four walls, a thing too simple to be tried as truth. Not scholars calm nor gift of church or state, not everlasting date of death's release, but careless noon the houses lighted late, harvest and holiday, the people's breeze. Days into years, the doorways worn at still. Years into lives, the plans for long increase. Come true at last for those of God's good will. These are the things we mean by saying peace.
As we come together this day and any day, we join together in smaller groups. We always have an opportunity to share with one another those things we're carrying with us, those joys or sorrows, personal. Today, I have the gratitude of a memorial service yesterday that felt rich and whole. Great family came to celebrate the life of Ed Southard. And once again, we learned so much about somebody we didn't know that well. I mean, Ed, in his time, most of his time here, was in decline and with Alzheimer's. And so we saw the kindest, gentlest man, experienced that, saw the love between he and Marion. And that was celebrated yesterday. But so was the rich life he led before, the teacher, the soldier. It was the father. It was a wonderful service, and as I said, the hospitality crew did a great job, and along with Ann Bergeson to make the service and the reception magical. News about Marjorie Corallo. I visited her yesterday. She fell for the second time on Thursday, and is in the care center at Bentley. She fell while on vacation in Greece and broke her wrist. And then came back because of the pain, and then while she was walking at Bentley, tripped over a little piece of rug and fell on the same side and broke her collarbone. So she is resigned and in relatively good spirits given all that, and I'm sure cards or notes would be welcome. And finally, word comes through that Marge and Ed Ostrom are progressing on their individual recoveries and hopefully looking forward to coming back. We don't know whether that's going to happen or not with us in maybe January. But Marge, ever indomitable, is moving forward with her recuperation after a heart issue. So, if you have a joy or a sorrow you'd like to share this morning, raise your hand. I'll bring you the microphone. Please tell us your name and briefly what's in your heart. Now, that doesn't mean you can't do that, do joys and sorrows.
My name is Jane Graham. On March 1st, the forum hosted Anna Escamami as a speaker. Anna was then in the Florida legislature as a Democrat from Orlando. That was her last session. She's now running for mayor of Orlando. But the reason I have a joy in my heart about her right now is that the New York Times has named her one of the 25 rising stars in the country for the Democratic Party. And at age, I think she said 34, Bill, Jean, you were there, was something like about 34. She's got a long way to go, and she calls this one Mama Bear.
Great. Anybody else?
Actually,
Mama Bear.
I think it's exceptionally important that we support these young people who are involved and are running for office. One of our congregation members had thought about running for school board. Would have been exceptionally qualified, except the price, the cost is astronomical. So keep that in mind. Yeah, it's important to give, but let's give where it has impact.
Thank you. All right, looking for guidance, anybody? No, okay. Just means my homily's going to be longer, that's all. Thank you for those joys and concerns, both, I think, meet. And certainly aware that each of us has things every day that we carry with us, those joys and sorrows. And so we honor each other in this time and hope that this community is responsive to your needs and your hopes as well in supporting both. Let's join together in a spirit of meditation. Mark Bellatini is a wonderful writer, retired now minister from Columbus, Ohio. Ah, it's true. When our ancestors spoke of heaven, they were speaking of this moment. When they went on about nirvana, they imagined a time like this. When they sang of paradise, it was this morning they imagined. A time when all the mysteries of life and death are blended in a community of praise. When the bones of ancient lovers are given flesh again in our own bodies. Teachers of long ago speaking of love and truth once more in lives so ordinary they are extraordinary. Blessed is our breath in and out, quiet. Blessed is our sitting, our fidgeting, our movement. Blessed is our heartbeat, echoing the pounding alleluias of the distant stars. Blessed is the silence that is presence, not absence. And let's join in that silence together.
I remember at one point when I realized that song wasn't anything about the weather. Have you ever shown up here at UUCGN on any given day? Some days it feels like a buzzing hive of activity. People coming and going, all with purpose. You might see many of the same faces working together, getting things done around here. Other times you drive into the parking lot and notice all the cars and think, oh, right, it's weekend meals day. Inside Thomas Hall, a crew is busy packing, working with passion for a common purpose. There's laughter, teamwork. It's an important outreach. And even when some aren't here in person, they're still part of it, connecting through committee emails and planning and reaching out to the broader community. On another day, I might drive in myself and wonder, what's going on today? It's always a busy place. Maybe I came by to check supplies for our Pavilion concert series or our coffee house coming up. But as soon as I walk inside, I see there's another gathering going on. Maybe the Aging Wisely group with Ann Fisher and Kathy Gorski. Or maybe it's Ann Fullerton and Cheryl Nunes preparing for a new art exhibit in Menaker Gallery. Yes, on any given day, you'll find a vibrant congregation, people sharing their lives and meeting the needs of the community through their time, talent, and treasure. Have you ever stopped by on a Tuesday? Our music committee meets every second Tuesday at 11 o'clock. I usually show up a little bit early to set up for the meeting. When I get here, the garden crew has already been out there trimming, weeding, and making our landscape, this campus, as beautiful as possible. George Evans might be nearby, fixing something in the garden, sitting at one of the pavilion tables. On any given day, you might find Della Hansen in the office, creating handmade birthday cards, and Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas cards, too. She does it all with such joy and care, and always shares them so generously and enthusiastically. Or you'll see Joan Leary and Adrienne Cady with the caring committee in the small conference room, talking about folks who might need a phone call, a get well card, or maybe a ride to an appointment. On any given day, you might see another crew working in the kitchen, preparing for an evening's event. And there are many of those. And I'm just talking about weekdays. At weekends, you'll find more opportunities to see this congregation in action. On Sunday mornings, conversations going on in the foyer, in the hallways and the office, as well as our meeting rooms and RE classrooms. Conversations about upcoming events, and maybe a few board members discussing a last-minute emergency. Not to mention the busy hospitality crew, who are so faithful. This is the life of a congregation. And you might see groups boarding buses in pursuit of social justice activism, like a trip out to Immokalee, or down to that alligator Alcatraz thing, which is actually a despicable term for that place. There are many other examples, so many testimonies to love and to outreach. And that's not even counting our dedicated staff who keep everything running smoothly. Thank you. Yes, on any given day, you'll find the life of our congregation, people sharing their lives, their time, their love, and their gifts to sustain this vibrant community. And it's remarkable to witness. I'm grateful to belong and to be a part of that, to have a part in this congregation's work, bringing my own time, my own talents, whatever they might be, and treasure to help sustain the longevity of it and to honor those that have come before us, who've devoted and shared their own lives for its health and vitality. Before closing, I'd like to share this short reflection from Reverend Louise Green's sermon, The Ecosystem of Congregational Care, delivered at All Souls Unitarian Church in Washington, D.C. Imagine many active rivers flowing in an abundant ecosystem, water pouring in and flowing through. You might see Rock Creek and other tributaries pouring into the Potomac and Anacostia. and out into the enormous Chesapeake Bay, a metaphor of generosity in offering and receiving, asking for help and letting resources come, giving and offering when a situation for caring flows right in front of you. Understanding the system is too large for just a few to manage entirely.
While looking at my feet at a crack in the sidewalk, an old tin can by the side of the road, I nearly missed a rainbow, I nearly missed a sunset, I nearly missed a shooting star going by. While studying a brand new hole in my sneaker and finding a quarter and an old bus token, I nearly missed a rainbow, I nearly missed a sunset, I nearly missed a shooting star going by. Looking down at the ground makes you know where you're going. No head up in the clouds to lead you astray. But you can't ever have any kind of dreams that way. Looking at my feet at a crack in the sidewalk, an old tin can by the side of the road, I nearly missed a rainbow, don't wanna miss a rainbow, I wouldn't miss a shooting star going by, passing me by, going right by, going by.
Poet Mary Oliver, I don't think ever missed a rainbow. But she does tell the story of, in a poem, of walking in Provincetown and observing an incredibly beautiful garden. So well laid out, the colors just were perfect, the choice of flowers and shrubs, just a wonderful design. And she imagined initially the gardener coming out from the house and just sort of waving a wand and making it all happen. And the gardener's name was Stanley Kunitz, and she wrote the poem to Stanley. But of course, as she herself knew about the great wheel of growth, she understood the amount of loving labor that was required to make something look that magical. And at the end, the love and hard work of creation itself, the raking and the trimming, the weeding, that makes the difference and allows things to unfold at that great wheel of time. Flowers emerge and then disappear, but need to be deadheaded, and then the next growth comes through and offers its joys and its colors. At its best, that could describe a congregation as we come together and new people come in and folks slowly leave our congregation, as unfortunately they do. The same thing happens, and we keep that beautiful design going by our attention to one another. At our best, we're serving you and your needs as an individual, your own spiritual and intellectual growth, your need for belonging and community. We're serving each other in that community and keeping that sense of community going by our efforts to participate in the whole. And we're serving the wider community as we take our values outside these walls, whether it's every day that we walk around and share our values in whatever way we can, or whether it's we're actually intentionally going out to a vigil or to a protest or to any kind of thing that allows us to express those values and share them with the wider world. So we're feeding you and our individual needs. We're feeding this community, and we're feeding the world. And again, at its best, that is the life of a congregation. And we're paying attention during that, to the structures that make that possible. We have a wonderful board of trustees and a wonderful committee that tends to our programming. We have all sorts of little gatherings here and there making things happen. And if you were a fly on the wall in any of those meetings, you would get the sense of the feel of that joy in sharing both one another's journeys, but also in the work, in the gardening, in the tilling and the sowing. But it doesn't happen magically. It happens because people care and people join in that effort. I had an 11th grade teacher who tried to teach us systems theory. And as a course that I actually talked myself into because I heard it was great, my grades didn't really speak to the fact that I should be in that honors class, but I managed to. But he was creating. It was a world problems class, and he was talking about world problems and asking us to really look beyond the headlines, beyond the names and the dates, and look beyond what was happening, and understanding the systems that were making things happen. And it wasn't until I was in seminary that I realized what my 11th grade teacher was trying to teach, because of course we were learning about systems theory. And it was something that developed in the mid half of the 20th century, which looked at the interdependence of constituent parts of a whole within an organized system, and sees disruptions in the system not as isolated events, but as functions of the whole. So stresses in one part of the system can result in some unexpected event in another part of the system. And if you don't see the big picture, if you don't understand how everything is connected, then you're scratching your head all the time. Systems theory was applied to therapy, and Murray Bowen picked up the idea and looked at families and understood families as a system, as a continuing system over time. And from that practice, the Rabbi Edwin Friedman looked at congregations in similar ways. Looking at the whole notion of anxiety as something that sort of always is there within a congregation. It could be obviously the anxiety we bring in from the outside. It could be the tension about a particular decision in the congregation. One congregation I heard of was having trouble getting the people to wear their name tags on Sunday morning. They were out on the table and people weren't picking them up, and they couldn't figure out, after lots of work trying to remind people and tell people. And then people at one point started wearing them again and sort of feeling they wanted to pick up their name tags. And what they realized is that there was a tension between the minister and the music director, which, believe me, doesn't happen here, that was resolved. And So people were responding in a way that maybe they weren't even conscious of, but because something got resolved and they started to feel a little bit less tension, less anxiety, they started to wear their name tags again. It's as simple as that, but also complex as that. Ours is a pretty healthy system, and while there's always a possibility of unforeseen complications, we have benefited from a history of good, non-anxious leaders who have stepped to the fore and shown the way through a lot of the difficulties this congregation has gone through. And there will always be difficulties. As one writer put it, expect chaos. Because when human beings come together, especially Unitarian Universalists, that's what you're going to get. Throughout the course of our 45 or 50-year history, the folks who built this congregation have really done a great job of keeping a steady leadership model, moving slowly but steadily from small gathering in people's homes as they started out in 1975 to rented spaces to the domes, which I hope people have seen pictures of, but these geodesic domes, to this building and this congregation. It has been a steady flow and of people and lives and ideas. Names we hear now only in passing, like Bernie and Rita Turner, who started it all. Aileen Crawford was the first president. Helena Thomas and Ray Thomas. Bruce and Harlene Richardson. All these names that we remember, or some of us remember, that are sort of come through the history, are the people who were the grounding, the foundation of this congregation, and it is their joy in community that has sort of lived in our family system since that beginning. And it is amazing how I sense that joy from that far back. I did get to meet Harlene and understand her gifts of joy and community. It just comes through, and folks like Walter and Janice and Sandy and Roger Brown, Frank and Ann Bergeson, people that rolled up their sleeves, believed in community, and got the job done in a very non-anxious way that has made this congregation thrive. And we learned a couple of weeks ago in our service about other people that were involved in the growing of this congregation. People like Chris Seavey and Kathy Magudis, who, while weren't involved for very long, still had an impact in what they did. And we're going to have another one of those services in February where we learn a little bit more about some of our early members and their participation and their contributions. From a Unitarian Universalist perspective, each of the 7 values that help us shape our larger faith, generosity, pluralism, justice, equity, transformation, and interdependence, all centered around the value of love, speak to the creation of a grounded spiritual community, and not just a community set in a specific time and place, but one that exists over time, as this one does in our 50 years. Even though those values are newly articulated, they speak very clearly about who we are as a people and what we hold most dear and to our core. It's not a community, though, that can exist without the participation of people of all ages, the energetic youth, the solid middle-aged, or the keepers of meaning, as we might say. From the value of equity that underscores the inherent worth and dignity of every person to that interdependence which recognizes we are all a part of a great web of existence. The values that we hold speak to what we are and what we can be and what we should be. Today in our living room conversations with a focus on the idea of unity. And for my part, we find that sense of unity when from our core we understand that our relationships to one another and the values contained in those relationships are the most important thing. Each one of us is part of a whole that extends back in time, that has evolved in community with one another and with nature. The workings of a society offer many distractions that feed us only temporarily, but what truly feeds us, I think, is the time that we spend in relationship with each other, with other people, in this community, and of course in your own lives. And we are touched then, as I mentioned, by the continuity from the past, the values that have been passed along to us by our forebears, and which we in turn need to turn around and pass on to the next generation, sharing as we do and modeling as we do with one another those values in our everyday life. The life of a congregation, or the shape of a congregation, is changing, ever-changing, as new people walk in the door. But the design and the shape of it always is something that we need to attend to. Unlike Mary Oliver's gardener, there is no magic wand. The beauty of a congregation that thrives like this one does is in the details, in the weeding and the pruning and the planting and the placement of things and understanding how different plants work with one another. And our joy, I think, at this moment is that we are in that process, that we are continually looking at how we can grow, not by numbers necessarily, but organically, as a garden does, with all the beauty that each one of you brings, all the color and richness that each one of you brings into the whole, and that we can feel that whole every single time we come together and take it with us as we go out the door. So the life of a congregation is something that we share, that belongs to no one but belongs to all of us. And hopefully within that realm of community, each of us feels fed and needed and loved. And so may it be forever.
At this time, and in the spirit of gratitude, we come to a part of our service where we can all participate together, being mindful of all that our beloved community provides, both within these walls and far beyond them. Through shared resources, we sustain the sacred space that nurtures our spirits, strengthens our connections, and emboldens our hearts for the work of justice and compassion. This offering reflects our deepest appreciation for the transformative power of this congregation. With every act of generosity, we support not only the growth of our own souls, but also the many hands that reach outward, touching lives in our wider community with kindness, hope, and love. May this offering serve as a symbol of our commitment to be a beacon of light, to foster peace, and to create a world where love prevails. If you are watching on Facebook Live or viewing later on our YouTube channel, please consider sending your offering to the address given on your screen and using the donate button on the uunaples.org website. This morning's offering will be gratefully received. Our ushers may come forward.
Usually I try to let the music do the talking, but I wanted to point one thing out today. Our service today is very much obviously about celebrating everyday people, especially you all, and starting with Fanfare for the Common Man and so on and so forth. And this next David Wilcox tune made me think of the art in the Menaker Gallery right now by Marion Southard, which is very much making art out of everyone's faces. So please check it out. This David Wilcox tune is very much about making art out of something that wasn't intended to be. when the paint jar tipped off of the table, you watched as it started to fall. Glass popped, shattered and splattered, and paint spray hit the wall. Bright blue glossy enamel across the kitchen floor. You said, "Good God, look at that pattern. I've never seen that before." Leave it like it is. Never mind the turpentine. Just leave it like it is. It's fine. Now when the paint dried, you gave it a title. You called it Kitchen Blue. A white frame painted around it, and gallery lighting too. The rich folks come over to dinner, they all want one of their own. They say, "How much? Who's the artist? And my, what a beautiful home." Leave it like it is. Never mind the turpentine. Just leave it like it is. It's fine. Most folks suffer in sorrow, thinking they're just no good. They don't match the magazine model as close as they think they should. They live just like the paint by numbers. The teacher would be impressed. A lifetime of follow the lines, so it's just like all of the rest. Leave it like it is. Never mind the turpentine. Just leave it like it is. It's fine.
You're doing great. Thank you. Yeah. If you are who you were, and if the person next to you is who she or he was, if none of us have changed since the day we came in here, we failed. The purpose of this community, any church, temple, zendo, mosque, is to help its people grow. We do this through encounters with one another and encounters with the unknown. The other meaning whatever that is for us that is outside our comfort zone, however hard that might be. Because these encounters have many, many gifts to offer. So may you go forth here this morning, not who you were, but who you could be. And may that be true for every single one of us. Let's sing together our closing hymn, Break Not the Circle, number 323, in the gray hymnal, Let's Rise in Body or Spirit.
Break not the circle of enabling love, where people grow forgiven and forgiving. Break not that circle, make
Please be seated. There's someone who's been wanting to interrupt the flow of this service all the way through, who's been tapping me on the shoulder and on the head and wearing a hat. If he would come forward and get whatever it is off his chest, I would appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks, Tony, I think. So listen up. Now, this is really important. Otherwise, I wouldn't be wearing this silly hat. So we've been speaking here for the last year, I guess, on all the different functions and the way this church operates. Today's homily was exactly about that. So let's just kind of pull it all together here, if we might. You know, we've got, of course, a mission statement, and then we have a very strong, robust vision statement that was created by us earlier this year. And then, of course, we've got the program council, which is all the committee chairs, and that's really how the volunteers work and what really makes this congregation tick. And, of course, in there we've got the board of trustees, but what we haven't really addressed yet is you, the congregation, the membership, and how it is our goals and our funds and our energies that create and make us a successful organization. But every 2 or 3, maybe 5 years, we come up with a strategic plan that pulls this all together, that keeps all of us working towards a vision that makes sense and that we can be focused on. We haven't done that in a while, and so earlier this year, the Board of Trustees appointed a strategic planning task force. And there's about 8 or 9 of us that have been working very hard on that ever since. Many of you have already participated through the focus groups that we've been conducting that were sort of demographically decided because every different group, whether it's the snowbirds or the music folks or the wiry, whatever, all have different focuses themselves, so we've asked different questions. Now, we've assimilated all that information to help us in this upcoming congregational meeting to decide and provide the goals and guidance for everyone, for all of us to work together to meet the mission and the vision. So we're going to have a meeting, as you've probably heard already, here in the congregation on December 6th. That's a Saturday from 9 to about 2 o'clock. And we hope, although this will look a lot like previous meetings that we've had, congregational meetings for strategic planning, it will be very different because this year we're going to have a basis of knowledge that we've gathered from all of these focus groups. That's you, all of you, and almost everybody in here has been in one, so that we have a starting point with some drafts of goals that seem to fit what you've told us. So this is a congregational decision. This is not about the strategic task force or anybody else but you. This is how we communicate to the congregation and to the administration and to Tony and everyone else on what we think is important and what we think needs to be improved. So please mark your calendars for Saturday, December 6th. That's the first Saturday in December. And we're going to set this up. It'll look a lot similar before, but I think it's going to be we're expecting very different results because we've done so much work to try to get us to the first level before we start that congregation. So mark your calendars and registration. If you didn't register before, I'm going to be out here right now, after the service, for you to register. If you don't register, you don't get fed. So there's a little motivation right there, okay? So we look forward to seeing you then. Thanks, Tony.
This is a wonderful place filled with wonderful people, but neither the place nor the people are perfect. Yet when we come together, we create something very special, something more than the sum of all the parts. That's the blessing of a congregation at its best. May we always understand deeply that each of us, every single one of us, each with our strengths and our weaknesses, adds something important to the whole, and that none of us can survive this life or these times without one another. So go in peace, go in love. Have a wonderful day.